The photograph arrived yesterday, 30 years after my sister vanished. But it wasn't the same picture. In the original, Chloe is smiling, holding my hand. In this one, her eyes are wide with terror, and she's pointing directly at the camera. A cold, metallic scent, like old coins and damp soil, clung to the paper. When I touched the spot where she stood, the image felt sticky, as if it were weeping a thin, cold sap. Then, from the hallway of my silent house, I heard it. The faint, wet sound of a child's bare feet on hardwood. Step, pause, a sticky pull. Step, the footsteps stopped outside my door. The air in the room grew thick and stale, smelling of ozone and forgotten things. And a voice, not from the hall, but from the photograph in my hands, whispered a single, wet word: "Found you." For 17 years, that photo was just a ghost, a memory fading at the edges. Then, last Tuesday, the truth clicked into focus. We've all been staring at the proof of what happened to her this whole time, and the person responsible is smiling. Right here in the frame, the photo zoomed in on each smiling face before cutting to black. Present day. Sarah, 35, sits in her book-lined home office in Portland. She looks weary yet determined, the weight of years etched in her expression. My name is Sarah Miller. My older sister, Chloe, vanished when she was 19. I was 16. It was the summer after her freshman year at college, when she returned to Cedar Falls, Ohio. She was different. A restless energy clung to her, like static before a storm. The air around her felt charged, heavy with the scent of ozone and dry earth. This wasn't the sister I remembered waving goodbye just a year before. The tension in our home had become a palpable presence, thick as the summer humidity that clung to our skin. Dad, John, was the epicenter of every argument, his voice a low rumble that seemed to vibrate through the floorboards. Chloe, in those archived smiles, was a burst of color against our graying reality, a memory that now felt like a different lifetime. The official story was a hollow echo. She'd simply run away. But in the quiet after the shouting, that explanation felt as thin and fragile as old paper. She'd mentioned it before, a typed note claiming she needed to start over. The police accepted it without question, the official story settling like dust. My parents, they tried to believe it too, their voices hollow with forced conviction. But in the stale air of our home, the lie left a metallic taste, like old pennies and regret. But I never did. The Chloe I knew wouldn't have abandoned me without a word. Not like that. She pulls out the album, its cover cool and sticky with age. Her breath hitches as she finds the pivotal picture. This portrait was taken at a backyard barbecue, mere hours before she vanished. Mom insisted on one final photo before we all went our separate ways. Her voice carried a strange, almost pleading urgency. I glanced at Dad in the frame. His expression remained unreadable, carved from stone. The air in the room turned thick and stale, carrying the faint scent of old paper and dust. My mother's smile was forced, a brittle mask. I stood awkwardly in my braces. But Chloe, look at her eyes. In the photo, they hold a flat, vacant stare. They weren't looking at the camera, they were looking past it, at something behind us. A cold, metallic scent, like old pennies and damp earth, seems to seep from the photograph itself. Her smile never touched her eyes, a hollow expression frozen in time. For years, I'd stare at this image and feel only the void where she should have been. That emptiness drove me to become a paralegal, quietly hunting through cold case files, always searching for answers in her forgotten investigation. Every lead was a dead end, until my mother passed away last month. Clearing out Mom's house in Ohio, I found the album. Tucked behind this portrait was a stack of letters. The air grew heavy with the scent of old paper and something faintly metallic. From Chloe to her then boyfriend Mark, the man my father despised. Sarah's voice trembles as she reads a fragment. Quote, "Mark, it's worsening. He went through my phone last night." The admission hangs in the air, thick with the scent of old paper and a creeping, metallic dread. He said if I kept seeing you, he'd cut me off. Tell the college I was unstable. He found my birth control, but he called me names I can't even repeat. I'm scared of what he'll do. He was my father. I knew they fought. But this was a campaign. Then, in her final letter, dated just 2 days before she disappeared, she wrote these words, her handwriting trembling on the page. "I've pieced it together, the secret he's been guarding. I understand now why the paranoia, the need for control. It was never about you." Tonight I confronted him. His expression, it wasn't anger. Something else entirely twisted his features. A recognition I couldn't place. The air turned thick with the scent of ozone and cold soil. I've never seen a look like that before. Panic seized her.
"I'm going to get proof. Meet me at the old train trestle Sunday night. I have to show someone." The metallic scent of rust and damp earth hung in the air where she waited. A faint scratching echoed from the trestle's beams above, followed by a sticky, cold drip on her neck. Sarah never made it to that meeting. Mark believed she'd changed her heart. Crushed, he eventually moved forward. He remained unaware of the letters.
His mother must have discovered them. A faint scent of old paper and dust lingered where they were concealed, and there she buried the truth. Sarah held the family portrait, her magnifying glass trembling slightly in her grip. Her expression shifted, the raw grief in her eyes hardening into something colder, sharper. She wasn't looking at the smiling faces anymore. Her breath hitched as the glass focused on the background, and the air in the room seemed to grow still and heavy. The barbecue's cheerful glow cast long, dancing shadows across the lawn. Our neighbor, Mr. Peterson, methodically flipped burgers, the sizzle a rhythmic counterpoint to the gathering dark. Aunt Carol's laughter cut through the humid air, sharp and brittle, like glass about to shatter. The scent of charred meat and summer night loomed thick, masking something else beneath a faint coppery tang. The digital enhancement sharpens, zooming in on the corner of the frame. There, emerging from the porch shadows, is my father, John. He isn't looking at the camera. His gaze is locked with a terrifying intensity. He is staring directly, unblinkingly, at Chloe. In his right hand, he's holding not a drink or a plate, but a small, dark blue, rectangular object. Sarah's voice cracks with the strain of a 17-year-old lie. For all that time, I thought it was a wallet or a phone case. Her breath hitched as she confessed the truth. But I zoomed in, I enhanced it. That's not a wallet. The image resolves with chilling clarity. The air in the room grew thick, carrying the faint scent of old paper and something metallic. Every instinct screamed that this object didn't belong here, in this place, in this moment. Sarah's voice grew taut as she examined the passport. My father was a tax accountant. He had no trip planned. He only went to Canada once a year, for a fishing trip in August. But this was June. Sarah's hands tightened on the steering wheel, the humid Florida air thick with the scent of bougainvillea and decay. She found her father, John, hunched in his assisted living chair, his once strong frame now frail beneath a thin blanket. The question hung between them, heavier than the damp night air seeping through the window screen. Sarah's voice broke the stillness, a single word carrying decades of unspoken dread. The photograph from that final barbecue, the day Chloe vanished forever. Why did you have your passport ready, Dad? A heavy silence filled the room, thick with ozone and unspoken truths. John's voice was flat, devoid of memory. I don't remember. Sarah's reply cut through the stale air. She wrote letters, Dad, to Mark. She said she'd figured out your secret. What secret? Another long pause. The sound of labored breathing filled the space, ragged and uneven. John's voice finally broke through, strained and low, carrying a metallic scent of dread. She was going to ruin everything. He was unstable, just like her real father. The words hung in the air, thick with the scent of ozone and old secrets. Sarah's breath hitched as the truth settled in her chest like cold stone. Around her, the air grew heavy with the weight of his confession. Every childhood memory shifted, realigned with this new, terrible understanding. The familiar became foreign in that single moment. He told me everything then. Each syllable dripped like ice water down my spine, rewriting my entire history.
He spoke in a flat, emotionless monotone, as if reciting an inventory of the dead. Chloe was the product of an affair my mother had early in their marriage. The man, a journalist, died in a car accident before Chloe was born. Only my parents knew, or so they believed. John, she discovered her birth certificate. A different father's name was listed. She came to me, her voice raw, accusing me of a lifetime of lies. She was going to expose everything, tell my colleagues, our friends, that I wasn't her father, that my entire life had been a lie.
The air in the room grew thick, with the metallic scent of old blood and damp earth. I told her I'd explain everything, that we could go somewhere quiet, just the two of us. My whisper was swallowed by the oppressive stillness, broken only by the faint scratch of paper against skin. I packed a bag for her, held up the passport to prove I was serious. We could leave tonight. I promised we'd just talk in the car on the way to the airport. Instead, he drove her 30 miles out to the abandoned gravel pits. The air there was thick, with the scent of cold earth and rusted metal. Then, an argument began, a frantic struggle. Then a shove he claimed was accidental. She stumbled, fell, and in that moment, his life fractured. For 17 years, he performed the role of the grieving father, a mask of sorrow cemented in place. The air in his home grew thick with the unspoken truth, a metallic taste of guilt that never faded. He permitted me to dedicate my entire existence to searching for her, all while concealing her true location. The photo's once innocent faces now leer with a hollow, predatory menace. Sarah's voice cuts through the heavy air, laced with grim finality. The authorities have him now, and based on his confession, they've begun to dig. After all this time, we might finally bring Chloe home. But here's what haunts me, that photo. For 17 years, it sat on our mantle, tucked in our family albums. Now the scent of old paper and dust from those albums carries a new, unsettling weight. We smiled at it, cried over it, searching Chloe's face for any flicker of recognition. The whole time, the answer lay in my father's hand, a cold weight resting on the table. It was a promise, etched in ink and sealed with a finality that made the air taste of iron. A promise to take her away, laid bare right there in the open for us to finally see, a secret concealed within a smile. Sarah, How many secrets are hiding in your family pictures? What are the people you love really holding? Just out of frame? The retro music swelled once more, then distorted, stretched thin, and dissolved into dead air. The screen plunged into absolute black. Sarah's voice returned as a final, spectral whisper that seemed to emanate from the darkness itself. Her words hung in the void. Look closer.